much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jen Potter, and I am the host of Networking Now, where we are a networking show that talks about the imperative things that need to be done in networking. And today I am joined by the CFO and founder of Safe Harbor CFO Services. And it is exactly what you think it is. It is CFO services, but it's not just a service. He actually is a fractional CFO that allows him to be able to work with several small businesses to be able to create opportunities for business growth. He said, shockingly, that CFOs get paid up to $450,000 a year, and that is insane. And as a small business owner, we can't afford to pay even $150,000 for a CFO. So a fractional CFO allows us to have someone grow with our business. So just a few hours per week where we can get the same service that these big giant companies are getting, so we can grow and invest. And as we talk about his business and all of the different things that he does, because wait, he's also a serial entrepreneur, but we get to talk about what it means to be a CFO, what it means to network as a CFO, and why it is so important, and all of the things in between. So stay tuned for an amazing show. I'm joined by Jeff Wood of Safe Harbors CFO Services, and we'll be on soon.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Godet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares online. The only way to get these rock bottom giveaway prices is to call. So phone low-cost airlines now for airline ticket prices you may never see again.
Hi, my name is Jen Potter, and I am the host of Networking Now, where we are a networking show that talks about the ins and outs of networking and why it is so important and imperative to our business. Today, I am joined by Jeff Wood. He's someone who I've known for a long time, and he is a CFO. He is the owner and founder of Safe Harbor CFO Services. I think I got that right? So thank you so much for joining. I had to think about it. Thank you so much for joining us. So if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and all the things.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. So, name's Jeff Wood. So I started my CFO voyage, I guess, back at working for hedge funds back in the mortgage crisis in 2008, 2009. That went well. We did well with that company, learned as much as I could. The gentleman retired who ran that. And I eventually ended up doing the same thing for a separate hedge fund with launching ETFs and a few other things, crypto funds and things like that. Really enjoyed it. But really found a passion for helping some of my friends who had small businesses with some of their financial questions and working through some of their problems and helping them solve them. So when the opportunity came for me to launch a business that could do the same thing for other small businesses, I jumped at it. Something we're super passionate about over here and really do enjoy digging through the numbers and working with people as they grow their business.
I love that. That's one of the things that we have in common. Like, I love numbers, right? I was a financial analyst. So like whenever I hear things about numbers, I'm like, I love numbers. Yeah. And this isn't the only business that you own, though. So, I mean, I know you have the Safe Harbor umbrella, I'm going to call it, because you have multiple businesses that you started prior to this. So what are some other businesses that you do and, within that team?
Yeah, sure. So when COVID hit and kind of that market took a dive there, my wife and I got together and we talked about kind of hedging our salaries, right? Because working in the hedge fund industry, my salary, our savings, our investments were all tied into the market. And so the idea was, if the market's going to continue to hit the skids, we're going to have to come up with some new revenue streams. So the first thing that we did was we purchased a self-storage facility with a group of friends of ours. We moved from that to purchasing a second self-storage facility that was larger with investors. At that point, it made sense to launch a self-storage facility property management company. And then we bought a shed and steel building business almost on accident. That's gone really well. And then from there, it just made sense, as I was part of the small business community and had at that point spoken to so many other small business owners, to launch some vehicle that could really help them with their financial services, really bringing that CFO expertise that I had kind of built up over the years to small businesses to help them kind of solve much different problems.
Which I think is so important, right? And, we were talking before the show about the way that we reconnected because I was like, remind me again. I'm like, how did we reconnect? I mean, I've known your wife pretty much since I was in elementary school.
Yep.
So, which is funny when we reconnected, but, how was it that we reconnected and what was it that kind of sparked that? Because I feel like it created this new dynamic and relationship to our friendship because watching you grow over the past year or so has been absolutely amazing to watch with all of the different businesses and all the different things that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, so I think you and my wife obviously knew each other at a young age, so we ended up somehow connecting on Facebook friends. And from a distance, I had followed a lot of your posts with you were doing a lot of work and helping other small business owners, and that was really exciting for me to see. And I always liked seeing that stuff, and I always gave you like the thumbs up or the hearts or whatever. And at the same time, I was doing a lot of the same things for my friends, kind of privately, but helping them through some of their problems and really supporting them a lot as a cheerleader at times, but also, with some problem solving. And so I think I reached out to you at one point and I was like, man, we're doing a lot of the same stuff here. We should probably find some way to join forces so that we could do this, kind of on a larger scale. Because that was really the limiting factor for me. I wanted to help sort of as many of these small businesses as I could. So yeah, that's kind of how we reconnected. I have a lot of respect, by the way, for what you've done for business owners, especially female business owners. I think that's huge. You've done a lot.
Thank you, thank you, and that's what I love doing, right? And that was the biggest thing that we had in common. And I don't talk about it all the time, but I get so excited, and I think this is where like our passion together, like the first time we had coffee and we were just like nerding out, like our passion to help others outweigh our passion to help ourselves, because I think by helping others it's how it like starts that fire for us, because we have this ability that not, and I mean this in no disrespect to any, other people, but we have this natural ability to grow businesses and understand them. And I feel like I'd be doing somebody a disservice if I didn't teach them how to do it better and give them the tools that I have in order to help their business grow. And I have found by, because sometimes I'll meet with people and they're like, how much are you charging me? I'm like, first time we have a conversation, I'm not charging you a penny. If I can give you any type of advice off of our first meeting, and if you learn something from it and you want more, we can continue. But I feel like helping as many possible people as we can really helps businesses to grow and flourish. And it's that collaboration over competition. I talk about it every episode. How can we, build a bigger front, right? Because I feel sometimes that there's so much cattiness and so much competition. And it's like, well, what if we just help the other person, because there's enough for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And that was something that we definitely had in common. And, like we said, I went to elementary school with your wife. I think our first jobs were at the exact same place, which was really funny. We reconnected when we had kids. And then when you reached out, I'm like, oh, this is really funny. It's so awesome how the universe just brings people back into your life in different cycles. And it's so amazing. And then we reconnected and grew through networking as well. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit after as well, because I think that was really cool. And with the different networking stuff that we're doing aside from stuff like this. And so, knowing that, we've connected via networking and you started, working on, the CFO stuff, I find, I mean, I know what a CFO is, and, working with lots of organizations, myself included, and there are a lot of people who may not know the role of a CFO, and we have CFOs of companies, but then your company is different. It's not just a one and done CFO. So if you can tell us what a CFO is, and then what a fractional CFO is, and how it can help small businesses, I think that would be really amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So I think what we get a lot of when we have people that build small businesses is we have somebody who has an expertise in some sort of operations, right? You could be talking about a landscaper, a plumber, some sort of operations, and they've built their business with that expertise, pairing it with great customer service skills, pairing it with, an ability to not give up and to work hard and put in probably 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. But what they don't necessarily have is that financial background or financial statement analysis background, right? So that financial back office really has three components to it. It should anyway. It should have the CPA, who's going to help you with tax strategy and tax planning. And then you have the bookkeeper, who's basically the historian for your business, right? The financial historian. everything you've ever spent money on, they're gonna put it in a bucket for you so that you can look at how those buckets are growing or shrinking and track everything that way. And then there's somebody that sits right in the middle. There's somebody that takes that historical information and projects it forward and builds you out analysis, and whether that's through budgeting or cash flow, future cash flow reports, benchmarking services that allow you to see kind of how you compare to your peers in your region, and uses all of this data to help you and partner with you to really set strategy moving forward. Now, obviously, big corporations have had these things for a long time, right? They're very expensive, $150,000 to $450,000 a year usually for these guys. And so small businesses really, there's no opportunity for them to have this sort of expertise in-house until recently, right? Now, with fractionalized CFOs, you can get that, what they've essentially done is they've said, all right, I can build a platform and I can help, instead of helping one massive company for 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, I can help 12 smaller companies for 4 hours a week. And you're getting that same skill set, but now you can cut that salary cost in a fourth, in a 12th, I mean. And on top of that, you don't have to pay your payroll taxes, right? They're a 1099. So you don't have to pay the payroll taxes. You don't have to pay workman's comp, none of that. You really just have to focus on the value you're getting for them, and it's an extra contractor. So you're bringing in some of that that high-powered skill set at a very good, valuable price. Generally.
That's really interesting. And you said a number that my brain was like, I'm sorry, what? Because you said 150 to did you say $450,000 a year?
Some of them, yeah, when you see the CFOs at the larger corporations, it's exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
So what am I doing wrong? No, just kidding. As soon as you said that, I'm like, wait a minute, what? But, I definitely understand that. And I know that exists. And, when you look at those numbers and you look at a small business, and small businesses can't afford the $150,000, never mind someone who is that much more. And so having the CFO option, I think, is really great, because it will really help businesses to scale a little bit faster and a little bit more knowledgeable. So, and I love how you broke down all of the different, legs of each of it too, because sometimes people discount how important a bookkeeper is, myself included, when I started a small business. And, it took forever to kind of untangle out of that, because I was like, I can do QuickBooks on my own. I was an analyst. I did this for a long time. Yeah. I can totally do it. But, as a small business owner, you have to wear all of those different hats. And as your business grows, you have to give the hat to somebody else. And when you don't do that soon enough in your business, it can be really tough, right? And so I definitely think that they're super important, and I really appreciate that. And so when we have these services that you're able to give at a smaller rate, it really is going to give them a better bang for their buck. It's going to help their businesses, which I think is really awesome. And I mean, there's so many more things to go into. I mean, we're already at the end of our first segment, and we got to talk about all of the things, everything that your company does, everything that a CFO does. I think is really awesome that you were able to kind of go through that. And after the break, we're going to come back and we're going to start diving in a little bit deeper. So I am Jen, and I am the host of Networking Now, and I am going to be right back.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Thank you so much for coming back. My name is Jen Potter, and I am the host of Networking Now. And today I'm joined by Jeff Wood, who is the owner and founder of Safe Harbors. And I want to add an S to that, but there's not an S. And he owns multiple businesses in the area, but specifically talking about CFO services. So Safe Harbor CFO services. So thank you so much for being here today, Jeff, and talking a little bit about, what it is to be a CFO, most certainly a fractional CFO. And before the break, we did go into a little bit of a detail of what that actually means for some of us who don't really know what that is, because CFOs can be really expensive. We did start talking about what the fractionalization of the back office spaces are and what it means to small businesses. And when you said that, I had to write it down, and I'm like, what does that mean as a business owner, right? And I had to ask myself that question. And so I would love for you to go in a little bit deeper into what that looks like so we can kind of understand why it's so important.
Sure, yeah. So I think as a small business grows, right, and you get to the point where you're at 500,000 or $1 million in top line revenue, and you start to think like, all right, now I need to grow out the staff, right? So what do I need? And you start thinking, you're like, all right, I need, you need an administrative assistant or an executive admin. You need, someone to help you with the HR department. You need tech security. You need IT department. You need bookkeeping services, right? You need a CFO, perhaps. You need marketing services. And you're like, man, where do I start? And it used to be, you'd have to be a massive company. You'd have to really grow in order to hire all of those people. In fact, just the salary constraints of those names I've listed would get you anywhere from $550,000 to over $1 million a year in salary, right? So you would have to have a massive company to fully build out that back office so that you could focus on the growth of the company and what it was that brought you to that company, what you fell in love with. Like I said, whether that's software as a service, whether that's, some project that you're working on. So nowadays you could put together that entire team Like I said, you can bring in an admin assistant, you can bring in a full HR department, you can bring in a fractional CFO, which I highly recommend, obviously, tech security, IT department, and you could bring them all in for fractional positions or part-time positions, so they're not going to work 40 hours for you, but they can do it as your business is growing for $100,000 or $150,000 a year, which is what it would have cost you for one of them prior. So you essentially represent the operations. You're the head of the operations, whether you're the CEO or the business owner. You have people working under you that are handling the operations that either you're managing or you have managers that are managing. And now you can build out that entire suite of back office, from answering the phones to making sure that the computer's up and running, to making sure all the bookkeeping is being taken care of, and that you're thinking forward with finances, and and somebody's out there marketing for you, and the payroll's all set and benefits are all set. All that can be handled, and you can now really focus on getting that business from $1 or $2 million to $7 or $8 million in top line revenue, which is where we really start to see these guys explode in growth, when they can stop taking 4 or 5 or 6 hours a week, sending out invoices or answering phone calls, or all these tasks that, or their books go from something that their wife or their secretary is handling for them to a professional bookkeeper. And
Right.
as you said before, I would say, as a CFO who does not offer bookkeeping services, bookkeeping is probably one of the most important back office services. And if you're a small business owner and you haven't found a fractional bookkeeper for you, if that's all you can afford, then you probably should be doing that almost right away.
And I think that, I mean, that's fantastic advice because, I said it to you before, right? For me, I was an analyst. And so the number thing was easy for me. I'm like, I can totally do this. I was a bookkeeper for a little bit. And I'm like, I can totally do this for my own business. And it's great when your business is small and you're slowly growing. But the second you hit the ground running, now you're falling behind because there are tasks that you just don't have time to do in the course of a day. And you start falling behind further and further. And I mean, I wish fractional bookkeepers were more of a thing even 5 years ago. And so the fact that that exists is amazing. And I know plenty of people who do it now, and I think it's fantastic because it allows them to service multiple people. It allows them to have a business that also grows, so it doesn't leave them in one place, which I think is really awesome. So I think it's so imperative to have these fractional positions available these days, especially in small business. So I love the fact that that's what's being done. So I appreciate you for that. And speaking of the services and, tying it back into why we do what we do, right? And how we get out there and how do we get referrals and all of those things. And I can imagine as a fractional CFO, and this something that's I would like to think it's relatively new to a lot of business owners because, if I was fresh in business, I wouldn't even know that that's a thing, right? Right. I would have no idea unless I took some type of business course or accelerator or something like that. And thankfully I did. So I know a little bit more. But even so, when you're networking, I want to talk a little bit about the value of networking. That's something that we talked about. We'll dive into deeper, like the different types of networking and stuff like that later. But the value of networking, and you said something off the air before, and we were talking about it's not just about the leads. There's so much more to it. So I'd love for you to go a little bit more in detail about that as well, of what that looks like and what do you mean by there's more than just that connection.
Sure, yeah. I think if you're going to a networking event or you're in a networking virtual event, and you're there and you think the goal is for you to increase your sales or for you to get your business card out 5 or 6 or 7 times, then you're missing a large opportunity for you to grow as a business and for you to learn new things. I think everything as simple as if you just sit and have a conversation with another business owner and talk about your tech stack versus their tech stack. How do they communicate with their employees versus how do you communicate with your employees? What do your team building things look like compared to theirs? Is there a local place that people have been for some networking event or team building event? Can you do a team building event with their company? So now you're not only just networking, you're bringing two companies that have some synergy together and allowing their employees to be together. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for you to really grow your knowledge base as a business owner. If you come in with obviously a little bit of humility, but also with the idea that, that you're not just there to sell and to hand out business cards. You're there to learn as much as you can while you're there. So I think that's huge. And it's probably one of the more under spoken things about networking in general.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like value is so important when it comes to networking, and networking is so different with how it is now than how it was. And there's so many different types of networking groups that are out there. And as someone who is a fractional CFO, like if that's the, we're focusing on that one particular business, when you are networking, and obviously you have to establish the connection, what do you find is the most important thing for you when you're out there networking? Like, how do you establish those connections? What do those relationships look like? And with any type of networking?
Yeah, so I think for a fractional CFO, it's interesting because, and it's probably similar for a few other groups as well, because just about everybody that you talk to, you probably could and maybe should be trying to help, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I go out, it's a lot less about trying to sell my services. It's a lot less about trying to explain what I do or get business cards out. It's more about trying to get a feel for the person that I'm talking to and their passion for their business. And the reason for that is because if I find after meeting them one or two times that they really have a passion and they're really looking to grow, now this is somebody I feel like I could potentially partner with, right? So that for me is the most important thing. Um, I don't necessarily need them to sell me to their friends. I don't need them to, post me on their message board or anything that's like that. I just want to know, is this particular person who's running their own business and who's doing their own thing, how passionate are they? What drives them? What gets them up on Monday morning at 6 or 7 a.m. to for the grind, the 50 or 60 hour grind that they've signed up for now that they've done this entrepreneur thing.
I know that feeling all too well as I'm sitting here yawning. I'm like, I am exhausted. And, because that is, right? Like we get up super early, we go to bed super late. And, even if we set boundaries, we still work a lot. I think our entrepreneurial brains never shut off, which is, when we have text messages on off times and I'm like still talking about work, but I'm like decompressing, which is really funny. I always find that to be a fun thing that, like I'll send you a text, in the afternoon or something. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be decompressing, but I'm like getting excited about work. So being an entrepreneur, as you know, it's definitely addicting. And once you start doing it, it's in our blood, right? And I think when we're working so hard at networking and establishing relationships and working with people, you nailed something right on the head. And I think it was really important to kind of point out that, what gets them up in the morning, what drives them. And those are the people that I will work with when I'm consulting, right? And I obviously like I help other businesses because that's like how we connected. But for me, I won't work with someone that won't work harder than me. And with all the things that I do, with all the businesses that I run, all the kids, I don't expect anybody to work as much as I do, but I want to know that they're willing to put the work in more than me into their own business, right? So someone who's like, no, I'm totally cool with just having like just a few clients and working like 20 hours a week, like, yo, me too. But I mean, it's about growth and expansion. And if you're where you want to be and you don't want to grow any further, I want to take it as far as you possibly can see it. When somebody tells me, hey, I want to be a speaker, in my head, I'm like, how do I get this person at Madison Square Garden, right? Like I go big or go home. So everything that I do in business, like I'm looking for someone who has that passion and that drive. And I think when we partner with people like that, they're the ones that fuel our fire, right? They're the ones that are like, ooh, we have a new business idea, or ooh, we have a new connection. And when we start connecting with other people who do similar things, I feel like it really helps continuing to grow and establish those relationships. And I find that it's so imperative to have. And when we're networking, there's all different types of networking. And for someone in your shoes, right, you have the option of both in person and online. So what type of networking do you typically do when you are networking out there in the community?
Yeah, so I prefer in-person networking. I do. I feel like you get a better read on people when you're in person. But one of the things that's kind of happened to in-person networking, now that it's kind of grown to where it is now, it's turned into a lot of like, let's go get 3 drinks and awkwardly walk from table to table, telling everybody what we do and ask them what they do. So I prefer the kind of networking where it's more you're in a room and you're talking about just about anything, right? It doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
to be your business or anything else. You're talking about just about anything, and you can weave in the business into the conversation. You can weave in, because if you're, let's be honest, if you're running, again, let's just go back to the landscaping business because that's on top of my mind. But if you're running a landscaping business and you're passionate and you want to grow, then we could talk about the Red Sox for half an hour. There's no way it's not going to come up that you love landscaping, and we're going to see it. So I like that kind of less obvious in-person type of networking. That being said, I think there's a huge value in the newer sort of online Zoom/Teams type networking events.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for the same reason. I think if you, rather than just getting into a room and everybody waves at everybody and puts their information in the chat, if you can put like a central core message or a lesson or something at the center of that and allow everybody to kind of give and take from that conversation, I think that adds a lot of power, a lot of power.
It really does, right? Like anybody can get into a room and say your one line, this is what I do and this is who I'm looking for, but it doesn't add any value.
Right.
I mean, yes, if I'm looking for someone and it's like, my last string and I need to find someone, yes, I pull that card when I'm looking for someone, but I really want to get to know you.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important, right? And I mean, thankfully we're able to network in person and online together with the different things that we do. And I know you're also part of like the hybrid model of a networking group where you get to meet online, but then you also get to meet in person. And it establishes that relationship that just needs to be fostered. And I mean, when it comes to money, like not for nothing, like I don't trust anybody. And especially in business, right? Like, this, like this is what you do for a living.
Yeah.
And so you have to have this really strong relationship with the person that you're working with because we trust you to help us grow our business.
Yeah.
And so I see it as being something really important. It's like financial advisors. And it's, for me, I won't work with just anybody. Like it took me years to find a financial advisor. And it was funny because like when I was looking, it was like, well, why don't your friend does this and they work for this company, so you should be going with them. And my response was no. And you need to show me the relationship that builds for me to trust you with my finances. And it's so important. And I think, right out the gate, just having the conversations that I had with you and why you do what you do and why you want to see people grow, immediately that trust was there. And it wasn't just because we have like a relationship beyond our networking and that was already established. It's you really care about what you do and you really care about the client and you care about the partnership that you have. And I think that is so important when we're networking. I feel like it's often missed. And it's really important. And so, when networking both, in person and online, I know you said in person is more important because you can kind of get a read, but how often do you find that you're able to get to in-person meetings when you are able to get to them? Is this something you do often or are you online more?
Yeah. So like you said, I have quite a few little projects that I'm working on that I'm the founder of at this point. I have a great team that works with me, so I have time, but it basically has to be scheduled pretty far in advance. So anything that I can, and I do have a lot of travel that comes with that. So if every opportunity that comes up that I can fit on the schedule, I'll take. But I also find myself finding other opportunities to do the same thing. So if I'm on, the board for say a little league or for a sports rec group here in town, then after that little league meeting or after that board meeting, I'm chatting with those guys, and I'm not selling myself. It's not about that at all. But it's more about just being aware of what it is they're into and what they may need, and so I could recommend people to them and learning from them and how they run the businesses, things like that. So I find other ways to kind of create in-person networking events, probably where they're not. So I wanted to go back to something you said earlier about trust, because I think there's some trust that's kind of overthought when it comes to fractional CFO work. And the truth is, it's not just you trust that these projections are right, or you trust that I'm telling you this is a large enough cash reservoir for you to get through the winter and not have to lay off your guys. Those are all big items, but you're also trusting that I'm not going and telling the guy across the road what it is that are your hardships, or what it is that your fears, or what it is that and I'm not out quite frankly, celebrating your successes either, that our conversations are confidential, and that that's your place to have those conversations with anybody if you choose to. And if you don't, that's fine too. So there's a lot of trust really in your ability to keep the advice and kind of the business itself out of my conversations outside of, me and whoever that is. So, and I think that's huge. And I think that's probably one of the harder things to gain from other people, is that trust.
And I love that. And it's hard to gain, but if you can gain that trust, it establishes a completely new relationship. Yeah. And I love that. And we talked about so much in this segment, and it was amazing. And I can't believe we're already more than halfway done. But right now we're going to cut to break. And I am Jen Potter, and I am the host of Networking Now, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Michelle Merhar. You may remember me from the morning news. I'd like to tell you how getting data and documents into action fast gives you a competitive edge. Digital-first thinking to manage document workflows efficiently are giving all organizations a competitive edge. In fact, digital document automation is an essential process, helping us to become more profitable and to compete. By making any process paperless with secure automation, decisions can be made efficiently, virtually from anywhere. You'll be able to find and share documents securely in seconds. Your staff will be empowered by making optimal use of every office hour. And by the way, the size of your organization doesn't matter. Precision Products has been helping organizations for more than 30 years with paper to digital processes, including scanning systems for any document to premises and cloud document management systems. We make it easy and scalable for your business process needs from the office or other locations, even mobile devices. Contact us to see how we can help your organization succeed. Contact Will Waterall direct at 713-446-5939 and visit us on the web at precisionproductsinc.com.
Are you ready to shake up the world of health with me? Welcome to Disruptive Health, where we are flipping the script on traditional wellness. I'm Dr. Denise Brown, and on this show, we are diving deep into the latest trends and breakthroughs in health and wellness. Whether you're curious about nutrition, exploring new therapies, or just want to live your best life, Disruptive Health is your guide. Don't miss Disruptive Health, coming soon to Now Media TV.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Welcome back. I am Jen Potter of Networking Now, and I am joined by Jeff Wood. And throughout the segments, we have talked about so many different things. He is a fractional CFO and a serial entrepreneur. He owns several businesses, and he does it effortlessly. As he works a lot, he has realized that fractional CFOs are super important in businesses because, as he stated before, people are paying upwards of $450,000 for a CFO, which is absolutely insane. It made me rethink my life choices. No, I'm just kidding. But with that said, we have talked about the value in networking and developing strong relationships. And that was so important to talk about. And as we kind of continue on a little bit and the value of, networking, establishing a really strong relationship, we said it earlier as well. I don't trust anybody with my money, and we have to be super cautious when we are building our business. Every penny counts, and I think it's really important to emphasize that and why it's so important. But having someone who has a really strong skill set will help us to grow our business. And one of the things that you said that was really interesting on the commercial break when we were saying, hey, what are some of the things that we want to talk about? You mentioned about, I think and you were very fast when you said it, and you were like, all CFOs, fractional CFOs should offer a money back guarantee. And I was like, ooh, I'm like, I definitely think that they should, but not everybody's going to agree with you. And that's perfectly okay because everybody does their business different. But I want you to jump in and just start talking about why that is so important, the value add, the ROI, and all of those fun things when we're hiring a CFO, a fractional CFO.
Yeah, no, you're right. Not everybody is going to feel the same way. And in fact, I've heard from some of the business owners that I've consulted with that they think this is a terrible idea because they think some businesses will try to learn everything they can from me and then just fire me and get the last quarter's, fees back, which is hilarious. But I do think there's a few things. A money back guarantee not only allows a level of comfort with a small business or with an owner when they're getting ready to hire you. But it also opens the door for us as well, because the truth is we're going to sign an engagement letter that's 12 months. And if I'm working with a business owner, and there are a few out there who really enjoy the way things have been done for the last 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 years, and don't necessarily want to make some of the changes, and don't necessarily believe some of those projections. Like you were saying about trust, it's not just trusting where all of your pennies are going, but that the pennies I tell you we could make if we make these decisions or that will come in will actually come in. And so if we have that sort of a relationship, then the truth is I'm not going to help you grow your business. I'm not going to increase your bottom line. And if I can't, that's going to frustrate me as much as it frustrates you. And so that money back guarantee gives you the opportunity anytime to let me go, but it also gives me the freedom, if I'm not helping, to be let go, which is important. And another important piece of the fractional CFO business, where it's a little bit different than I think some of your other hires, is a fractional CFO business should net you more money than they cost. If you're paying $36,000 a year for a fractional CFO to come in and help you and help you budget or help you with cash flow forecasting and help you with these business decisions, you should make 2, 3, 4, 5 times that on your bottom line using their advice. You should not be looking forward to firing them and getting your money back. You should be excited you have them. So, and a good partnership, right. In a lot of trust is built by in a partnerships form when you have that sort of option at the get-go.
Now, let me ask you this, because I think that this is a really interesting part that I thought of when you said that. So say you're working with a business that, maybe they're not for you as a fractional CFO. And how do you manage, and I don't know if this is part of like your growth strategy already, but how do you manage that type of relationship and then also be able to keep that so it could be so you have a relationship beyond that? Because I know there are clients that I've had to let go because they weren't necessarily for me, and as a fractional CFO, if you find that it's not working, how does that work?
Yeah, so if we have a 12-month engagement, right, so we are committed to helping and working with business owners for 12 months. At that point, when the end of that engagement isn't for us to increase fees and do a bunch of other crazy things. It's really for us to revisit we've done some goal setting, right? And some goal tracking. Are we moving in the right direction? Is my communication style working for you? Are you able to implement the things that I recommend? And do we want to continue the partnership? Because you're right. There are just different personality types, and it may be that we're profitable for each other, but it doesn't necessarily make sense for us to continue. So for us, we're committed to 12 months, at a time. And so we will not let somebody go, unless of course they're doing something fraudulent or illegal, but we won't let somebody go, without giving them the opportunity to work through 12 months. Because let's be honest, some of these business owners, they've been running their business successfully for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. And I show up and I say, hey, let's try this new thing. It may take 3 or 4 months, before it sets in and we've built that trust and they're willing to make that change, because it's a big step for them. I mean, that's their baby, right? They built that business from nothing. And like I said, if you're at the point where you're hiring a fractional CFO and getting excited to grow even further, then you're doing it successfully. You have done a good job, and for you to trust somebody could take some time. So we'll hash out, and we'll meet a couple times a month, and we'll hash out the differences and see if we can't work through them. But that's something we revisit at that annual sort of meeting.
I like that, and I like that, you saying, giving them the opportunity, to find that growth. And I think that that's important, because sometimes people are expecting this instant gratification, and it's not always instant, right? There's that learning curve, and I think that that's really important. But I think if you vet out your clients the right way when you're, establishing those relationships, like through networking, through, however you're deciding to do that. And I think as you're building the relationships, I think as the trust starts to build prior to a working relationship, it's kind of already understood. And I think especially after, knowing you for as long as I have, you make it very clear about what you do and what your expectations are, even when you're just in a regular conversation. And that's really important to know that you're the same person, both that you're having a drink with, but also the same person that you are when you're doing all of the work. And that's really important, I think, when establishing those relationships.
Yeah.
And
I also think it's important, I think it's important to understand that I have my role, and I know kind of what my role is. And my role is not to help an owner run their business, the operations of the business, right? I'm to give financial advice, not judgmental advice. I'm not here to say you shouldn't have bought that vehicle, you shouldn't have hired that person, you shouldn't be taking your family on a vacation, you're spending too much, you don't need a Gucci watch. Like, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for
But what if I want a Gucci? No, I'm just kidding.
Welcome to have that. It's my goal for you to be able to do all of those things and afford it and grow the business, right?
Right.
So it's non-judgmental as well, and that's important for business owners to know. We're not here to change everything that you're doing or try to get you to do anything differently. We're here to get you the growth that you want in the lifestyle that you want in the business that you want. Not change everything. That's what you've already built, a successful business. It's our job to help you grow it. That's all.
And I love that. And I think that's so important. And, I know before earlier on, we talked about the importance of the business, what a CFO is, what a fractional CFO is, but more specifically, maybe we can kind of get into the nitty gritty of what type of services that CFOs actually do, and things that you're able to offer, because maybe I think being fractional too, it allows you to kind of pick and choose some of the things that you may need or not need for your business, because assuming every business is different, right? Yeah. So I would love for you to go, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So what a fractional CFO really should be doing is developing a financial strategy for you, right? And so what does that mean? Sure, it's like some budgeting. It's a financial statement analysis, which no business owner wants to spend very much time spending on, but it's like, hey, this is where your balance sheet was last month. This is where your balance sheet is now. This is where your P&L was. This is where it is. That's the kind of the basic stuff. And then we call that like the detailed P&L review, a detailed balance sheet review. But then from there, we get into like cash flow projections, and kind of flexible or variable cash flow projections, budget creating, goal tracking, where we sort of nudge you along. And probably one of the things that the small business owners like the most is kind of being the financial quarterback, although I was a defensive player, so I prefer financial middle linebacker, where we'll head up that communication for you. We'll talk to your bookkeeper. We'll talk to your CPA. We'll talk to your bank. We'll talk to your whatever financial institution you're working with. We'll handle that conversation about refinancing your debt or about investing your cash in short-term, some sort of short-term, so that you can get some money while it's just sitting there waiting to be paid out in payroll. And so we'll have the conversation with the CPA, or we'll have the conversation with the bookkeepers when they're messing up journal entries. We're not here to tell you to do more work. We're here to take some work off of your plate. So that's probably, that last part is probably the most exciting one for most business owners.
That is. And it's funny because with all of the things that you said, I was going to comment and be like, that's exactly what I need, right? And I'm the first person to tell other business owners that they need to offload their responsibilities. If it's not, if you're better off doing something else that can grow the business money, like your job is to be the CEO of your business, you have to hire people to do the other things to continue to grow. And business owners, sometimes they're like, well, if I'm not the one that does it, then it's not going to get done. And mindset is, how much does it cost to pay somebody to do their job the right way, and how much money are you bringing in if you're bringing in a new client? And changing that mindset is so important. And I think having someone such as yourself that understands the value of that really helps that growth mindset. And and every time I have those types of conversations, with the organizations that I work with and any of the other CFOs or fractional CFOs, and it's so important. And the more and more that I think about it, like I'm working on a project coming up, and one of the things that I put as a line item, it is for a fractional CFO, because it is just so important to be able to have someone to help you manage that growth strategy. So I love that, and I love that there's the specifics in it. And so what I would love for you to do is tell everybody again who you are, what your businesses are, how to get a hold of you, in case that this is something that they want to learn. Who do you service? I think that that's really important too. Do you have a specific person that you service that's out there? Is there a specific area that you service? Tell everybody all of the things.
Sure. Yeah. So for who do we service? I think that's probably very important, right? So we specialize in the service industry. So everything from software as a service to, like I said, landscaping, right? Or, plumbing, construction, any of those businesses who historically didn't even know this was an option to help them grow their business. When we talk about size of these companies, so that we're not hampering their other operations, we really should have clients that have a top line revenue of somewhere around 500,000 up to 15 million or so. Those people, we have 3 different tiers of packages that we can fit people into. And essentially the way that the relationship will start is somebody will reach out to us either on, most frequently on LinkedIn, but through our email and the website as well. And we'll sit down with them and we'll speak to them for about an hour, learn as much as we can about them as a person, learn about their business, learn about their passion, learn about their fears, their goals. And then after listening to all that, we'll let them know if we can help them with these things, honestly, if we can, and if we can, what, perhaps what we recommend. And then, we'll talk more about ourselves and how we will do the things that we do. So, and essentially the business grows from there. And of course, that first conversation is as much an interview of us as it is an interview of them, right? And where they'll get to know us, they'll get to know the tools we use, they'll get to know what our plan is. And they'll learn, and they'll be bringing us on essentially as a partner, somebody to help out with that sort of financial back end piece as they continue to grow that operational front end piece.
I love that. I love that so much. I love all the stuff that you do. I'm a big fan and supporter of all of the businesses. And I am so grateful that you came on today to talk about all of those things. So you know how to get a hold of him. If you can't get a hold of him, you can get a hold of me, reach out to me, and I'll be able to get you in contact. But having a fractional CFO is super important. So if you're a small business owner and you're, starting to get bigger and you want to go bigger, definitely reach out. You won't regret it. And if not, it'll be a great conversation regardless, right? So thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we have Jeff Wood here of Safe Harbor CFO Services. And if you need to get a hold of him, you have his website, you have all of his information. My name is Jen Potter. I am the host of Networking Now. Until the next one, have a great day.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the U.S. Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the U.S. Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Are you ready to shake up the world of health with me? Welcome to Disruptive Health, where we are flipping the script on traditional wellness. I'm Dr. Denise Brown, and on this show, we are diving deep into the latest trends and breakthroughs in health and wellness. Whether you're curious about nutrition, exploring new therapies, or just want to live your best life, Disruptive Health is your guide.